All right. Good morning. Welcome to another Title Group of Tennessee podcast. Today we're at a remote location. We're with Shelly Yates at the Dickson County Register of Deeds. And I woke up excited this morning because I was going to come down here because these girls are always so good to us. We talk to them all the time, and they take good care of us. And I thought that this would be a good opportunity for us to talk about our relationship. Everybody in real estate, all the lenders and realtors and title companies and insurance and so many players that we work with that help make closings go smooth. And then there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that people don't even know about. And one of those things is the Register of Deeds. And so, Shelly, if you'll just introduce to our audience who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it, all the things.
Okay, if I can remember how long it is, I will. I'm Shelly Yates, and I'm the Register of Deeds, and I started working here in 1987, so I was 23 years old, and worked with 3 different registers, and then finally decided to run after I've been here for 27 years. So I'm starting my third election term this year, so I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for the citizens for trusting me with the job, which I could not do without my team, my chief deputy, Natalia Kessler, and my other 2 deputies, Gwen Stewart and Claudine Smith. They're the backbone that keeps this office going, and they keep me straight too.
Very good.
But we are very grateful for our relationships with our people like Kelly. Especially, we have to work with closing companies probably more than we do anybody besides the public. So we are grateful for you, Kelly.
Thank you
We
so
love
much.
you. We've known Kelly
Yes.
a long time. So
Yes, well, that's one of the things when she was talking about running for office. I'm pretty sure the first time I ever became involved in county politics
you came to my party.
was whenever I was like, I am on board to make sure that she gets elected. So that was probably the first time I ever really got involved in politics.
I remember you being at my party.
We knew how important that it was, who takes the position, and how this office runs. And so I'm excited to be here as well. And you may hear phones ring in the background because they're busy, they're working. There may actually a recorded document may happen while we are here. So
Could happen.
lots of things happening this morning. So when we say that we're doing a title search, because we tell people all the time, the next process in your closing is that we're going to do a title search. And this is where the magic is. So when we say we're going to do a title search, the documents are actually recorded here, and that's what we're looking for. We're doing a 30-year search, and I love this backdrop of the books because this is the old school way to title search before everything became online. But these books contain the history of Dickson County. It's amazing to think about all of the transfers of property that have happened for years and years in this county, all of just the heritage of the land. It's just so cool to me. Of course, now all that is online and everything is more electronic, but I love that we have this in our backdrop. So recording is one of those things that we say all the time, and I don't think a lot of times people really understand what we mean. And so I'm going to get Shelly to talk about recording and some of the recording fees that people see on their closing statement, and just kind of their process for taking a document and actually making it recorded.
Okay. Well, the recording is basically to make public record known of what has been done. I mean, you have some states where this doesn't even take place. They don't keep the records, which I've learned through some of my meetings, but it's to make everything public record and where it keeps your title chain clear and you know what you're buying. We take the fees, basically the recording fees that you pay, which is a very small amount of what you pay, is $5 per page for document. That goes to the county, just turns in as general fees. And then you also have a data fee that goes to the county, $2 per document. And that goes straight to this office to keep up computers, keep your tech stuff up to date. And then your $1 register's fee and your state conveyance tax and mortgage tax all goes to the state of Tennessee as a privilege tax. So that is if you buy a $500,000 house, the biggest cost you're going to pay is your state conveyance tax. Or if you get a large mortgage, the biggest tax you're going to pay is your mortgage tax. And the county doesn't keep but like 2.4% of that, and the rest of it goes to the state of Tennessee. So
Yes.
that's where most of the fees are going that we record. You know, county general, yeah, they get some of it, but it mostly goes to state. We're ongoing and always trying to get that back, but it ain't happening. So, you know, for fees, that's what we do.
Yes.
As recordings, we take them 2 or 3 different ways. We'll take, of course, if you walk in over the counter, and you know that's mostly citizens that come in from the county to bring their stuff in person. We take FedEx, UPS. We get our mail every day, and that's another important thing that we have to remember in here. We always have to record in the order that it comes in.
Right.
We will key. It doesn't matter if we got 30 pieces or 1 piece of mail. We're going to key it at the same time, all those pieces, because we pick up our mail at 10 o'clock. And the importance of that is if a first mortgage and a second mortgage gets recorded and something happens and it ends up getting foreclosed on, that first mortgage is going to come in first place. And that's very important to the lenders to know that
Yes,
they got their
absolutely.
to know that they got their stuff in. And it's important to the title searchers also that we time our stuff, because they do what they used to call a down date.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's
We still
is.
do. Yep.
I used to call a down date, and they will put a time as to what our records are up to date to,
Mhm.
which ours are pretty much up to date within 30 minutes most of the time. So
Yes.
yeah,
Very important. I've always been taught Tennessee's a race to record state.
it is.
So if I get something down before someone else, I'm in priority position
Yes.
with my lien. So, and talk about being up to date. Every county is not up to date. Just from dealing with multiple counties, is to have somebody that is not delaying and getting something recorded is a blessing that we have that in our county. And the $5 per page, I think that's something that people ask about a lot. What is my recording? And we're like, well, depends on how many pages your document
Yeah.
is. And so that's why, it's hard for people to understand that we don't know exactly how much a recording is, but it's $5 a page.
And
some admin
there's
fees.
talk about,
Mhm.
there's talk in our meetings about that going to a flat fee.
Yes.
It would have to be state law changed. Some people like it, some people don't, because you're going to get if they say they talked about $50.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a 25-page deed of trust, it would be $50 recording fee.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you had a 1-page release, it would be a $50 recording fee.
Right.
So there's a lot of states that have moved to that, and they've talked about it here. I think there's so many people opposing as to what they want to do. I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
I think we would probably be the only ones that would be happy about that, because
Yeah.
if we're short in our recording, it gets rejected. So we got to make sure that we're collecting enough. So
we're nice when we call, right?
They are very nice. Yes, they give us a chance to make it
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Something also, when we talk about recording and we talked about things that could affect your title to your property, we had reported back in January of a warning, a consumer warning. I got to be careful how I word it. A consumer warning where people were filing a document that was putting a lien on the property, and it was a service agreement where MV Realty was saying, we want the permission to list your property, and we're going to file this in the records that will be a covenant with the land that would basically be a lien that if they didn't get paid to list the property, then the lien would attach and they wouldn't be able to sell without MV Realty getting some money. So we had actually talked to Shelly about that at that time. There were some already recorded in Dickson as well as the other counties where they had gotten homeowners to sign saying that they would have exclusive rights to list the property in the future, and that this covenant would run with the land for 40 years. We were happy to report that Tennessee passed the Real Property Integrity Act in March that prohibited that from happening. That was a big thing for consumers that did not know that recording of that document was prohibiting them from being able to sell without them getting some money. And then Shelly and I talked about this again today, that she actually got a letter from the Attorney General, and I thought that was would be good for you to hear from her kind of what their take is on if somebody brings in a service agreement or a contract that they're wanting to record.
Kelly, we had actually talked about that at many of our meetings before I talked to you, and we could kind of see as those things were coming in, they were not what they should be. In fact, we've even got some in here that are not signed by the homeowner.
Oh, wow.
So I think that they're sending them in like as a memorandum and an affidavit, and then what they're stating in those things are that there is something signed, that there is an agreement signed. We don't know what it is. Of course, it is what you said it is, but we don't have any way of knowing that. And so there was concern there all along that those were something. I know Nick McBride out of Knox County did a whole lot of the legal work, on the ground work, trying to get this stuff where they couldn't do it. So they finally passed the law, and now we can actually refuse to record one if we think that that's the purpose of it. Now, if we accidentally record one, we're not going to get, we're not going to be held responsible for that. But basically, they're also, might as well say they're not good for anything.
Right.
They're just basically filing something that means nothing.
Yes.
Because this law has passed, and it's in the best interest of the consumers. So
absolutely. And before the law passed, anytime someone files something in the registrar's office, it can create a cloud whether it's legal or not. If I file something saying I'm owed money on Shelly's property, then I may not be owed money on Shelly's property, but she has something that's going to come up in a title search that is going to prevent her from being able to sell. And so that's what it was doing. It was really creating a headache, and then the burden of proof was on the homeowner as to whether they could get it removed before that they could sell. So we were excited that the state of Tennessee and the registrar's office and everybody joined together to say this is not okay, that people would be taken advantage of and things would be filed against their property that would run with the land and that would create a lien for them when that was never their intention by signing the agreement.
Right. Yeah,
So
exactly. And kind of while you're on that subject, we've also had a thing we've been putting out, which I've got a copy up there on the desk. When people are doing new transfers, there's this kind of a scam letter going around that people will get in the mail. What triggers them to get these letters is when they've had any movement on their property, if they've just bought it or whatever. And these people will send them a letter and tell them, hey, you need to get a copy of your deed for like $100. I think it started at $80-something dollars. Now it's over $100. So anybody who actually comes in and records property, we try to give them a sample of what that looks like, so they won't be falling for that, because anybody can come get a copy of their deed free here.
Absolutely.
And so there's no need for you to pay a company $180 or $100 or $89, whatever they're deciding to charge. And they've tried to catch some of those, and they keep going to different addresses. So,
that's something I know has been around for 10, 15 years. It's been a long time. We try to notify people of that at the table as well, that you're going to get a lot of junk mail because your deed's recorded, your address is public record, and that is one of the things. Document recovery company. So if you've transferred title in the last little bit, that you should be aware of that, and I'm glad y'all are making people aware of that.
And it's just something that people don't know. I feel like it's taking advantage. Whether it's illegal or not, I can't say, but I feel like people are just taking advantage of it. And I don't know if you're aware, us in Progress have got, and several counties now have gotten a fraud alert system. And it's a free service to the customers, where they can go in and, it's called mylandalert.com, and they can go in and they can enter up to 3 names on there, and anytime, of course, we can't refuse to record, but if something comes through with their name on it, they can have all their stuff set up, and it will email them and let them know. They can immediately call and see what it is.
That's awesome. And
I think that's putting people's mind at ease.
Yes. So that's a whole nother series that Shelly and I might talk about at another time, is the thing called title lock, and how that people think that they can lock their title, and that's a thing.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother story. So part 2 with Shelly Yates is coming soon. But the fact that you can have basically an alert on your name and be notified, which is really all you can do, is to be notified if there's any fraudulent things happening. that's great to know. That's a great information for the consumer. And so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I think most of the counties are getting that now.
Yeah, so that's great. I just wanted to end, in talking about title searches and title documents that get recorded, some things that get recorded that can attach to the property that I think people are not aware of, things we find in our title search, things that are recorded here at the courthouse. One of those things is judgment liens. If you're sued in court and a judgment is filed against you for credit cards or loans or sometimes insurance, I see anytime that you lose in a court case and there's a default judgment against you, it gets recorded at the Register of Deeds and then actually attaches to your property. So those are the kind of things that get recorded here that I think people aren't aware of, not just deeds and mortgages that are getting recorded. Also, HOA liens can be filed if you're in a property that has a homeowners association and you're not paying your dues. Those liens can be filed at the courthouse as well and create a lien on your property, as well as mechanics liens. If you have an agreement with someone to do work and the work doesn't get paid, they can file that as well. Is there anything else that you see kind of common that people ask you?
Of course, the judgment liens are something that's usually gone through small claims court. They take the judgment, file it against the property. HOA, we see some, not a lot.
Yeah.
It depends on the subdivision area. If
Yeah.
they have an active HOA association, they will keep up with that, and they will file a lien on it. The mechanics liens, we get several of those, and that's usually, like you said, work provided for that property. That and your mortgages, we will sometimes, they could file really basically any kind of lien, but those are the most common ones. Yeah.
What about, like, I know at one point people were concerned about the trash fee or the solid waste fee.
Yeah.
Are those still getting recorded?
They have slowed down a whole lot.
Okay.
But in the beginning, yes, we did. People were, they were concerned about the $10 fee that was going on their electric bill. And so they were just saying, hey, I'm not going to pay it. So the county started putting liens on their property. Then they would be responsible for attorney's fees. Then, hey, we go do something. Guess what? That year that you didn't pay your $10, it became $15 every month, and then you're paying attorney's fees.
Right.
You got to pay it before you can sell your property.
Yeah.
So we don't get near as many of those anymore.
Yeah, I think people finally caught up and thought it's easier to pay the $10 maybe.
And and I'm not going to try to defend or anything what that does, but I will say basically most of us who own land know what we pay for property taxes, and it's expensive. All of us. Dickson County's lucky it's not as bad as some, but that $10 it hits more people than just property owners. So it's a little more fair across the board, but I don't think most people see it that way, and that's fine. That's their thing. So I don't pay anything I don't have to either.
No. Well, and I'm glad to see there's not a lot of those liens going down too. There are other counties that have a lot more of those liens that are filed that we see.
We had a lot in the beginning, but they've really slowed down now. So.
Well, we don't want to take too long of your time. Thank you for watching the video. Thanks for Shelly and her team allowing us to come here and do this great video, and for all the information that she provides. And we appreciate you.